head to the airport.
Touchdown, midnight.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are back for another episode of Buckeye BS here with my guy, Cleveland Mike. And man, does it feel good to be a Buckeye. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good. Yes, it does feel good to be a Buckeye. I see y'all putting OH in the chat. Let's go. Go Bucks.
Absolutely. Buckeyes have a massive victory yesterday, 56-0 against Western Michigan. But that probably wasn't even the best part of everyone's day. We got to see that team up north lose during the noon block, Mike. Was that the best part of your day yesterday?
I won't say. Yeah, it was. Let's go with it. It was best part of the day. You know, a lot of our off-season takes that we've been saying hit like cracking 80s. So, it seemed like the light came on, and a lot of folks scattered like roaches. And a program that was built on sand, the water came in and just washed it away. So. Yeah, it's beautiful sight to see for all of college football that has been talking. And like we said last week, Ryan, like I told you, I said, if they get embarrassed, wait till all these content creators come out, man.
Absolutely. And you're going to see the trolls keep coming. You see the tweets on the timeline talking about how long until the self-imposed postseason ban. I mean, they keep putting Davis Warren out there. I mean, that is a self-imposed postseason ban if you're going to keep playing him at quarterback. The rest of college football the college football landscape did not look that impressive this weekend. We talked a lot last week about the Buckeyes' slow start, but we also acknowledged that a lot of teams around the country didn't look great to start off immediately. And I feel like that continued again in week 2. You saw Notre Dame fall to NIU, Penn State battling with Bowling Green, only a one-possession game there. You saw Alabama keep it close with USF for most of the game until they pulled away at the end, and then Oregon with the nail-biter going down to the end against Boise State. Which one of those results was the most surprising to you yesterday?
Most surprising was to me has to be the Notre Dame. I mean, we talked about how easy their schedule was, how they could float through it and possibly get to the CFP. And we knew what type of defense they had, and we was hoping and was told that the offense was going to be better with Riley Leonard back there. So it had to be Notre Dame, and it's a sad day, man. A lot of people was talking about, Marcus Freeman next Ohio State head coach. I see a lot of people pumping brakes on that now, pushing back.
Absolutely. You saw Notre Dame go down. The Buckeyes come out and look dominant. A lot was made in the offseason about Ohio State's transfer portal acquisition of Will Howard at quarterback. A lot of people clamoring for guys like Riley Leonard, Dillian Gabriel, and Cam Ward. Cam Ward, the only one of those three that has looked lights out since the season has started. It feels like the Buckeyes got it right here at quarterback through 2 weeks, looking at how everyone else has looked around college football.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints right now. Like I've been saying, I do want to see, how Will goes looking into Big Ten play. And I said going forward, like that Iowa game, going up against that defense, I feel will be a test for Bill Howard and the rest of our team. So I think that we made the right decision. A lot of things look good. So let's see.
Yeah, in week 2, Will Howard, 18 of 26, 292 yards and a touchdown, and then also added another touchdown on the ground, something that we knew that he would add to this offense. That puts him at, 5 total touchdowns through 2 weeks in games that we've pretty much had secured and have been able to get the other quarterbacks. And we were able to see 3 quarterbacks yesterday. Devin Brown leads a touchdown drive. Julian Sain comes in and gets his first career touchdown pass as a Buckeye. We've been talking a lot during the offseason how important it is to get these guys reps, to rotate people through. And again, you see the Buckeyes jump out to a lead. They're rotating guys in early, and they're also going deep into their depth as far as finishing out these games. What did you like the most about the Buckeyes rotations yesterday?
What I liked most was you can tell the guys who got to play in week one came into this game with a different swagger and confidence about them, and they're able to build from week one on to week two. And now you're going to see them hopefully just be able to build going into the bye week, being able to build going into the Marshall game, and just continue to build. And that's what players need. They need confidence to be able to go out there and not do too much thinking. So, I mean, right now, can we not say that the players and the fans are having confidence in our depth? And then also, man, uh, Donovan Jackson was still out. And look what that run game was doing. Uh, I mean, I can't complain.
Um, yeah, I can't complain either. You see a guy like Sam Williams-Dixon get 3 carries late in the game, ends up with 44 yards along of 31. A lot was made about the running back depth outside of the two-headed monster, with James Peoples being a true freshman, Sam Williams-Dixon also being a true freshman. But those guys both go out there and show that they're more than capable to play for the Buckeyes even as early as true freshmen. I hope that puts to bed the uh, Caleb Downs playing running back thing, because now it looks like with these blowout victories, they're making an effort not only to get James Peoples ready, but Sam Williams-Dixon's out there getting carries as well. That was great to see. Overall, though, the Buckeyes look really dominant in week one. A lot was made about their slow starts in week one, and it felt like it was something that plagued the Buckeyes in years past under Cal McCord as well. The Buckeyes really didn't come out to hot starts. It would put a little bit of extra unneeded pressure on the defense because it would take a minute for the offense to get rolling. And we gave them a pass last week because we knew they had a new quarterback, first time starters on the offensive line, a new offensive coordinator, all kinds of new people around this program right now. Jeremiah Smith, a true freshman starting at X. A lot of things that could be excused in week one starting, but we also said that we wanted to see them correct those things going into week two if this is a national championship team. And they came out and did exactly that. They come out firing and drive right down the field on their first drive. Will Howard doesn't throw an incompletion until his 11th pass attempt. How excited were you to see the Buckeyes correct those slow start issues against Western Michigan, objectively better opponent than Akron?
Like that last part you put in there, man. Um, I love the fast start. This is exactly what honestly I was expecting. This is the fast start we could have had. You seen Jeremiah. He got his first pass, he didn't drop it. And like we said, it was rare. I think a lot of those guys, especially like Bill Howard, talking about how it was an away game for him. Quinshawn Judkins, all of that, like he was trying to get comfortable and didn't have to press as much. He just looked way more comfortable in the run game this week as well. Will Howard was just able to relax. It felt like a home game for Will. So, I mean, just to watch these guys continue to settle in. And here's the thing: a lot of people want their team to be hitting on all cylinders week one, week two. But no, I like this. I like watching the team build up from week one to week two. And I just hope it keeps going.
Yeah, yesterday we both did post games. You were on the Voice of College Football Ohio State channel, and Chris and I were on Bleacher Report. One of the questions Chris asked me on Bleacher Report is, watching that game, like, what is your negative from this game? Like, what do they need to improve? And I told Chris, I said, off of TV copy, off the top of my head, I don't have anything. I mean, Will Howard left a ball short, but I mean, if my only complaint is that Will Howard usually has a silly pressing moment right before the half and maybe one missed pass, I'll take that because I had way more complaints after games against lesser opponents last year. So if that's my only complaint from my quarterback, I will absolutely take that 12 weeks out of 12 from my quarterback. But Will Howard, he goes into his press conference and he says, "You always can get better. We definitely left some meat on the bone." And you love to hear that because while on first watch it looked like they went out there and dominated, the defense doesn't give up a first down in the second half. They pitched their first shutout since 2019. They look great, but this team seems to have a mentality of jobs not done. Like when Kobe was being asked to celebrate before they won the finals, and he's just, job's not finished. And this team seems to have that mindset of job's not finished. And you'd like to see Will Howard having that awareness and that leadership in him to say, yeah, we played great, but you always want to go out there and do more. And is it quarterback talk? Is it coach speak? Maybe, but you love to hear it.
Here's the thing, Ryan. People talk all the time about the team. I talked about this last night on the Voice of College Football post game. Is people talk about the team taking on the identity of the head coach, right? Now, with Ryan Day having to be the offensive play caller and the QB coach all of these years, all you got was that's what the offense was, and we were good on offense, right? But now you're seeing Ryan Day in the offensive meeting rooms, defensive meeting rooms, taking care of special teams. So that's like all the guys, right? And you're seeing I think you're seeing the players take on the identity of Ryan Day. I remember telling folks about an article I read when we hired Ryan Day about his competitive nature, his competitive fire, how he was. We were blowing that team out, and that man Ryan Day was still yelling at the refs, yelling at everybody on the sideline. His get back coach was trying to get him. He's smacking his hand away, saying, "Get off me." I think that the team is really being able to feel Ryan Day a lot more than what they were previously because, like he said, he's able to put trust in his other guys.
Yeah, we always call it Georgia Ryan Day, but it might just be the new Ryan Day now that he has a guy that he can trust and the play sheet's not in his hand. And you like to see that fire. I feel a little bit bad for the get back coach because, Will Howard's playing out there so well. Ryan Day can't chew him out like he's used to yelling at his quarterback. So someone has to take a brunt of that frustration. And it happened to be the get back coach. Yesterday during the game. But no, I love everything that I'm seeing out of Ryan, and I feel like this team is really taking on the identity of their head coach and their quarterback. My favorite thing to see out of this team is that no matter I've now seen it 2 weeks in a row from Will Howard where he's in the middle of his call and he just starts smiling before he snaps the ball. And to see that confidence that this dude has yet to show that he is phased by the moment. And that's has to be, as a fan, it's reassuring. So it has to be comforting for this team to see Ryan Day out there fired up and to see Will Howard out there unfazed by the moment in front of 102,000 people and to go out there and ball out like he has. This feels like a changed team. And I kept telling Chris yesterday on the postgame, it feels like we're watching Ryan Day evolve right in front of our eyes. And while I've had criticisms for Ryan Day after every season and thought that he had things that he could do to get better, Ryan Day has addressed the most glaring flaws the previous season every year the following year, and he continues to do that this year. He passes off the play calling duties. He talked about in his year-end review with Gene Smith about he needs to do a better job delegating. He goes out and gets not one but two offensive coordinators because he's had to go. Bill O'Brien leaves for Boston College. You see him going further into his depth, rotating more. So many intentional things that you've seen change about this team. You have to applaud Ryan Day for his evolution as a coach. And the national media has always been telling Buckeye fans, calm down, calm down, calm down, because you're doing the same things that Georgia fans did to Kirby Smart before he finally got his first national championship. Josh Pate talks about it on the show, the difference between haven't and can't. Ryan Day hasn't won a national championship yet. That doesn't mean he can't. And I feel like, again, it's reassuring to see him continue to evolve as a coach, learn from his mistakes, and get better year in and year out as a coach. We talk about Ohio State not really being a school where coaches come to cut their teeth and learn on the job because the expectations are so high. But that's exactly what Ryan Day's doing. He didn't have a coaching tree to pull from. He's building his coaching tree now. He's learning from his mistakes. He's firing coaches. He's giving up play calling duties. He's evolving as a coach right in front of our eyes. And I feel like we're watching Ryan Day come into his own as a head coach. Despite the success that he's already had, I feel like he's ready to ascend to the next level as a head coach and get that title. And you're seeing it this year with all of the changes that he's made to this team.
Yeah, and Ryan, we've talked about this. One thing that I've always felt about Ryan Day is that he doesn't let problems fester, and like he sees an issue, he's fixing it in the off season. And that's one thing that I love about Ryan Day. And all these people want to talk about new coaches. And here's the thing about new coaches. They're going to make mistakes. But it's different these years around. You're seeing first-time head coaches get their chops on the big-time stage. That's not how Nick Saban got his chops, because he didn't start off like this, like he finished. He didn't. He wasn't that. It took him, I think, 10 plus years before he got his first natty. Urban had to go to Bowling Green, had to go to Utah. These people got to lower level programs, make their mistakes, iron it out, fix it up, and then they get on the big stage. And that's when you see them win in like 2-3 years, things like that. But they have way more experience than that. Let they get experience. We're going to be all right.
Absolutely. And I feel like you're seeing the experience play out in him learning from his mistakes and correcting them. So hats off to Ryan Day, even though I never take my hat off. You guys can do that for me. Shout out to Day and the evolution that we're seeing from this team. You talked about the O-line mauling people out there. Everybody keeps talking about Donovan Jackson being out, but again, I feel like this just lends to what Ryan Day is talking about the need to build depth. There's absolutely no need to rush Donovan Jackson back, especially dealing with a hamstring injury. We saw what happened with JSN bringing him back too early, getting lost in the snap count when they had him on limited snaps. Just let him get fully healthy and then bring him back. You're developing a guy in Austin Sareveld, getting 2 starts under his belt early. Who knows when Donovan Jackson comes back? But those are going to be valuable reps next year when Austin Sareveld is a starter for this team, and to be the first offensive lineman from that 2023 class to get big-time reps. You see Tegra Shibola out there absolutely mauling people in the run game. This offensive line is taking a step forward. Again, Justin Fry may not – I mean, he's starting to pick things up on the recruiting trail. You're seeing the development of the offensive line. We talked about it last week. This is 2 years in a row now. We've never seen a Justin Fry line get pushed around. It's always been mental mistakes, whether that be penalties, whether that be missed hand placement or not knowing your assignment. But you watched the film last year. If you watched the home opener, the Notre Dame game, and the Teton game, you can watch the progression of this offensive line, watch them learn to gel together, watch them get better. And you're seeing that again, the offensive line taking a step forward. One holding penalty, I believe, was the only penalty that I had, but they were moving the line of scrimmage. And again, that's a big step forward. I don't know how much that's Justin Fry. I don't know how much that is Chip Kelly, but both of them seem to be getting this run game right. And Ryan Day talked a lot last year about running the ball when everyone in the stadium knew that they were running the ball. And it was something that he repeated many times last year, but I don't feel like the Buckeyes were ever truly able to do with success. You saw the red zone struggles almost all year, to the point that they had Devin Brown in there running a borderline wildcat formation in the red zone to try to get the run game going. And now you see the Buckeyes come out on 1st and goal, run the ball for damn near 6 yards, and then line right back up in a jumbo package again and push it right down their throat and get the touchdown on 2nd down, running with intention and letting everyone know, hey, we're going to run the ball, but not only we're going to run the ball, we're going to push you off the line of scrimmage while we do it, and it's going to look easy. And they were able to go out and do that, and I feel like that's the first time we've seen the Buckeyes do that in 2-3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a while, and that's what I had said last night. It just, remind us of the teams like 2019, back when J.K. Dobbins was going crazy and the offensive line was throwing people around. Like that's what it reminds you of. And one thing that going into this season that I was concerned with was offensive line depth. And I just love that we're getting these guys, especially it's different. I hear a lot of people talk about rosters in college and like to compare them to the NFL. Well, it's not. You only have a certain amount of time to get guys reps and build on them. And you're not just, yeah, you have this season, but you also, those other guys, what they're building for is next season, those younger guys, right? So it is very important to go ahead and give those guys reps. Like an example, Georgia, after they won their first natty, everybody thought because they lost so many guys on defense, lost so many guys to the NFL, that they weren't going to be able to be that same team. Do you know why they weren't? Because those guys had got reps. They were veterans. Even though they were first-time starters, they were still veterans. So it's important, and I love it. I think that depth is going to help us in the back end of the season because it's a long season, man. We talking about 16, 17 games possibly.
Absolutely. The running backs looked amazing yesterday as well. You saw Quinshon Judkins really get going. We asked earlier in the week on the Buckeye Roast which running back has the first 100-yard game, and I was incorrect when picking Travion Henderson. He had 6.6 yards per carry, 10 carries for 66 yards. Quinshon Judkins yesterday, 9 carries, 108 yards, 12 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. How impressed were you with the running backs yesterday?
Highly impressed. Like I was saying earlier, like QJ just settled down into the offense, and was just able to be himself. I was told by, some old Miss people and stuff like, oh, you're not going to see Quinshon run for like 20 plus. You're not going to see him do that and break out. I mean, if G. Scott did a holding call, that man would have had like an 80-yarder, but he had two touchdown runs that was like 20 plus yards. So, I mean, I love what I'm seeing. I love watching these guys get comfortable, man. And as Agent Posh said, Coach Locke is him. These guys are running different. Honestly, like I told JR last night, I said, man, these guys aren't running as physical since we had Stan Drake.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a running backs coach that does push-ups during practice when he makes a mistake, I mean, that puts a level of accountability on that room that I don't think was there in years past. And you really see these guys running. I mean, I feel like we're seeing the best versions of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson that we've seen out of either one of them in their careers. Travion Henderson, like Chris said yesterday on the post game, Quinshon Judkins suffered for the same thing that Garrett Wilson suffered from at Ohio State, and that's dead legs. When he was at Ole Miss, they were running him into the ground, and you're able to see a level of speed from Quinshon Judkins that you didn't see at Ole Miss just because he's fresher. I know it's early in the season, but he's not going to be taking the brunt of carries that he had at Ole Miss to be able to have the same level of production. And it really spoke to the depth of this line or this running back room when you see Quinshon Judkins go off the field after an 80-yard touchdown run. The defense is gassed. The only person going off the field is Quinshon. It's coming back because of holding call. And you're like, well, at least the backup's coming in. And it's like, no, Travion Henderson's coming back in. You just had to chase Quinshon Judkins 80 yards, and now you got to stop Travion Henderson running with a full head of speed. So this running back room is absolutely loaded, and then you see the young guys come in and show that they're more than capable. I can't believe we've made it 24 minutes into this episode without saying this name. Jeremiah Smith continues to look like one of the best receivers in all of college football. We knew the potential of this guy coming in and probably set this expectations probably higher than anybody, and it feels like he's almost exceeding them. What are your takeaways from Jeremiah Smith through 2 games?
As guys in the chat keep posting, alien, man. This guy is freaking different. And this is also something that I felt like we have been missing. And I love seeing from our wide receivers, especially JJ was Yak. This man, okay, it's 1st and 20. He runs a 5-yard hitch and runs 70 yards. There's a picture out there of just 5 defenders chasing him, not getting that man. Like, and then also just how his presence has been infectious on the team. You see Seth McLaughlin, Byrne posted a photo of Seth McLaughlin in the back waving or whatever. Like, what he's doing, it just seems infectious. You see him out there playing hard, blocking. Like, we got us one, man. I mean, and to be honest, we talked about this. He might break the Ohio State freshman receiving record.
Oh, yeah, we compared the records. I mean, he's one touchdown away from having more receiving touchdowns as a true freshman than Julio Jones did. And Julio Jones had almost 1,000 yards as a true freshman at Alabama. And he's on pace to have, I want to say, 400 more yards than Calvin Johnson did as a true freshman. So, I mean, this guy is in unprecedented territory, and it's going to be fun to continue to watch him develop. And it's hard to believe that we have not one, but 2 more seasons to go with him here in Columbus, and it has to make Miami fans absolutely sick. You talked about the breakaway speed from Jeremiah Smith. We've talked for the past couple of years about how it feels like the Buckeyes have been lacking something from their offense, and that's a receiver that had the ability to take a slant or a short route 70, 80 yards and just have one of those big explosive plays that's a 1-2 play drive, because these guys are so explosive. And you see Jeremiah Smith add that to the offense. But I'd also like to make the point, I'm willing to bet you see Carnell Tate do something damn near the exact same way, just the formation flipped. Carnell Tate possesses that same type of speed and can run away from defenses, and I wouldn't put him past him as well, taking a slant 70, 80 plus yards this season. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, because the speed in this wide receiver room is different this year, it feels like. You see Emeka Egbuka really get involved, a guy that a lot of people preseason that weren't familiar with Jeremiah Smith thought might be the leader in receiving this year for the Buckeyes. 5 receptions, 98 yards, stays above his needed 60 yards per game threshold to become the Buckeyes' all-time leading receiver. Thoughts on Emeka Egbuka? It feels like a guy who was once the number one wide receiver recruit in the country. Gets a little bit forgotten, but reminds everybody with 5 catches and 100 yards that, hey, I'm going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah, man. I mean, Emeka's that guy. It's good to see him back to his normal, healthy self. And, I just hope Emeka can continue, build on that success, build on that on this game, and just continue to eat. And, yeah, here's the thing that we also have to realize, because we're sitting here thinking, oh, our guys are slow. Our guys are slow. But I remember us talking about this in 2022, Ron. I don't know if you remember. Well, actually, I'm sure you remember, because what were we talking about the whole time was the receivers having dead legs. And then you saw after the break, they looked a whole lot faster, looked like they could move, things like that. And I mean, I feel like that's what we're seeing. You're just seeing. I mean, I saw Brian Hartline put the wide receiver 2s in with the starting quarterback, and I'm like, that's Kojo, that's Ennis, that's who else was it? It was
See
Kojo,
JB
Ennis.
out there,
Yeah, I was like, what is
Bryson
going?
Rogers.
Yeah, Bryson Rogers. I'm like, we ain't never seen this in Zach Smith.
Again, and I feel like that's the evolution of Ryan Day not having his face in the play sheet and being able to talk to his assistant coaches during the game, because he's not trying to play chess with the defensive coordinator. And you're seeing that bleed in to every room. And I'm loving the rotation and the depth that Ohio State's developing, especially with how many guys are going to be leaving for the NFL after this team. It feels like they're not only playing for the Natty, but they're also playing for next year, as well as getting some of these guys developed. When you look ahead to next year, you would think with losing 2 corners to the NFL, the Buckeyes would be in trouble. Denzel Burke goes out with a targeting call early in the game. And there wasn't a worry around here, because you know what it was. It was main event time. And they put Jermaine Matthews in the game. Shout out Witten Woods. And you don't hear his name the rest of the game. Why? Because he cuts off a third of the entire fucking field because you'd have to be out of your mind to throw at one of the best coverage corners in college football that just happens to be cornerback 3 at Ohio State. And I love that he's able to go out there and put that film out there and go be that lockdown corner that we know he can be. And you just love that opportunity for Jermaine to go out there and ball out and remind everyone, like, hey, I'm that guy. Denzel, that's cool. Iggy, that's cool. Shout out to them doing their thing. We really got one of them right behind them. And I love that he got that opportunity. You hate it for Denzel, obviously. But again, it just speaks to the depth on this team. And for any Buckeye fans that have concern about all of the guys that are going to be leaving for the NFL, yesterday was a perfect peek into the future of the Buckeyes, and you have nothing to worry about. This team is absolutely loaded with talent, despite some of the recruiting misses in years past. You see, not only did, even when they missed, quote unquote, missed on big time recruits, it felt like for the most part, they went and got guys to fill out the roster that can play here and can contribute. And not saying that that's Jermaine, but like that just speaks to the depth. Jermaine, obviously, a fucking massive recruiting haul. But again, Jermaine is just one example of the depth of this team. And I feel like the Buckeyes are going to be in good hands going forward, even when some of these returning guys, some of these guys that we've been watching play for 3 years, do eventually leave for the NFL. There's tons of talent behind them.
Yeah, and Ryan, you might hate me for this one, but you know, I have always been of the opinion, like I'll say, like, to me, this wasn't natty or bust season, right? I felt like the way things are setting up for next year is our natty year. And a lot of people is like, oh, we losing so much talent, bruh. But the talent that I'm seeing that's behind them, I think that it's gonna be even more freakish. Especially, I think the offense is gonna be even more lethal. I think that I don't know what I think what Ryan Day is cooking up, and a lot of people are trying to put rumors out that no matter what, he's leaving Ohio State after this. I don't think this man is putting together the kind of roster that he has of the reserves and the second and third string to leave. Like, when he sees these guys, it's like, I don't want to leave. It's like, what, I'm going to go to the NFL and have to go through a rebuild and go through that fan base talking crap and all that? No, I'm good right here.
We talked about how important Ohio high school football is to the lifeblood of the Ohio State program. And I feel like yesterday was a great example of that. You see a guy like Jermaine Matthews come in and lock shit down at corner. You see a guy like Austin Sareveld, an Ohio kid, step in for Donovan Jackson, projected to be our best offensive lineman this season, lock shit down. You see a guy like Arvell Reese, a Glenville kid, coming in, pushing to be potentially the best linebacker on this roster, out there smacking shit. You see Sonny Styles, an Ohio kid, out there smacking shit. You see Lorenzo Styles, an Ohio kid, out there smacking shit on special teams, making the most of his opportunities when he's getting in the game on defense. A guy that I was critical of coming into Ohio State. I was like, you're bringing in this wide receiver to play corner? How about we go get a fucking corner? And Lorenzo Styles has absolutely proven me wrong and proven why he's here at Ohio State, showing his speed, showing his athleticism, and showing that heart out of these Ohio kids that we know what this means to the state of Ohio, to Ohio State fans, and really bringing that culture back at Ohio State of like, hey, losing to that team up north, that shit is unacceptable. And we're playing for more than just us because, I mean, you just have to walk around the city of Columbus to see what this team means to that city. And it's more than just a football game to Buckeye fans. And to see these Ohio kids make their impact on this team, it just shows how important recruiting the state of Ohio is and how important Ohio high school football is.
Yeah, as someone who has played in Ohio football, you know, went up against the Ray Smalls, went up against the Cecil Shorts, you know, I love Ohio football, and one thing I have always said is you can find the dog, you can, especially up there in Cleveland. Um, you can find it. The dogs are here. The only thing about Ohio is it's obviously underdeveloped. But with spring ball and all of that stuff coming here, I think that you are going to see a massive leap. I think you already are seeing it. You seeing the guys going out of state to play 7-on-7, going and playing with other teams, and you're watching these guys get better. We have the number one rated guy in the country, Tavian St. Clair. Like these things, don't happen that often in Ohio because everybody like, oh, they don't play football in Ohio, all of this crap. Now I think the world is about to take notice of Ohio because if you actually go and you look at the league and the guys that are in the league, you'll be shocked. Like, dang, Ohio, like right there behind like Texas, and they ain't got as many people as Texas. Like, y'all will see it. Trust me.
Absolutely. How pleased were you with how hard the Buckeyes were hitting yesterday? It felt like, Cam has the famous saying of Pats haven't been popping in Columbus since the 99s and the 2000s. You can't use that line anymore. The Buckeyes are out there fucking smacking shit. Arvell Reese, Lorenzo Styles, Sonny Styles, Jordan
Down.
Hancock, Iggy, our defensive line, all full of animals. How did I talk about all these Ohio guys and not mention Jack Sawyer? Jack Sawyer gets on the board yesterday with his first sack of the season. He got home, tons of quarterback hits last week, but he didn't get on the stat sheet. You love to see him get on the stat sheet. Other Ohio kids, Sam Williams, Dixon, I can't name them all or I'm going to forget. But obviously, you're seeing the imprint of Ohio football on this roster, and it always is mentioned by the legacy media and the people that have been covering this team for decades. Anyone that's been following this team for decades know that you can't do it without Ohio kids. I mean, you look at the national championship offensive lines, they're almost all Ohio kids. Like, it's a huge part of this program, and you love to see it really taking shape right now with this team that looks like an absolute world beater. We've had 24 hours to reflect on this game, almost, not even like 12, maybe 16. It's early in the morning.
Kickoff
But
game.
have you come up with anything just still reflecting on the game that you'd like to see the Buckeyes improve, or you'd like to see out of the Buckeyes in week 3? Well, not week 3. I'd like to see them get healthy in week 3 since we have a bye week. But when they come back off of the bye, what do you think is the most important thing to see from the Buckeyes?
Cleaning up penalties, man. I was thinking that we could go into this season being one of the most disciplined teams, because I heard that we were holding guys accountable. So that I want to hear about guys being held accountable. I want to hear those guys saying, yeah, I messed up. I had to go run some bleachers or something. Like, I'm serious. Like, I just
You
feel like when
hear
you get
about
to
guys running laps in practice for bad snaps, push-ups for
yeah,
fumbles, and things like that. So, there definitely seems to be an accountability around there. I feel as penalties off the top of my head, the ones that I can remember. I know we had the Denzel targeting, the Austin Saravel holding. Does anything else jump out to you, or can you remember any off the top of your
it's
head?
like I don't count the Denzel one against him. I do know the G. Scott Holden
Oh,
and
there was G. Scott, and then there was a holding during the Devin Brown drive, but I was getting ready for Bleacher
and then
Report, so I don't even remember who
I
that
think
was
we got
on.
a false start or a legal formation.
Zen Mikowski, that's who that was
Yeah,
on, the Devin
yeah.
Brown holding. So a few holding penalties. Again, non-starters at the moment, but still like what you see out of Austin Saravel despite the penalty. It's going to be fun to rewatch the film. I hope it's just as fun as the TV copy, and I hope we see what we thought we saw as far as really an offensive line that was really getting a push and a defensive line that was causing havoc. I just can't say enough good things about what Jim Knowles has done with this defense. It felt like we were in the dark ages in 2021 when Oregon was absolutely demolishing us with one play and we couldn't stop counter. And now you see Jim Knowles out there trot a defense out that gets their first shutout since 2019, and they're not giving up. It's not just not giving up any points. They're not giving up first downs. And they're rotating guys in. It's really exciting to see what he has done with this defense. And Don't call him the mad scientist for nothing, and he's living up to his name because while it may not be as sexy as it was in Oklahoma State, this fucking defense is flying around and they're playing aggressive, and you love to see it.
Yeah. And I see people talking about Devin Brown in the chat, man. And honestly, I just feel like the more that kid gets reps and be able to build confidence, he's going to be good. Yeah, he was looking good out there, and it's just good to see our QB2. You know, we've always complained QB2 not being able to go out there and run the playbook, but it seemed like he was able to 100% on completions. And then we got to see also another future, Julian Sane. So honestly, like I said, I just want to
looks
see
bright.
Hey, I just want to see these guys continue to get reps, continue to build that confidence, man, because the depth of this team can be honestly scary.
Right. I wanted to get one last thought from you before we get out of here. Who is your Heisman favorite right now?
Oh, man. Honestly, if anybody's going to be in the conversation, it's going to have to be JJ right now. He's looking like wide receiver 1.
Oh, you're going with a Buckeye? I was talking about nationally. It didn't even have to be.
Oh, you were talking about around the country.
Around the country.
Right now, I think it'd be Carson Beck, man. I just think that he's going to have the numbers, possibly the games as well, the big time games. And, you know, it's almost like a quarterback award. So, you know, I don't know.
I have a name.
Fuck out of here, man.
We're not going? Too much? Bro is out there looking fucking crazy, bro. Like, how can we not have Hellcat McCord in the conversation? No?
No.
He's out there absolutely balling for Syracuse. I gotta pull up the stats, Mike, because no one expected this except for me. 4 touchdowns, 381 yards, 32 of 46. They get the win over a ranked opponent. You could argue that Kyle McCord has a better win than any Buckeye quarterback right now. After beating a ranked opponent in Georgia Tech, Kyle goes out there looking absolutely crazy. So are you guys in on the Hellcat McCord Heisman campaign? No?
Hell no, you better not even go to damn New York, man. You go to that crappy. This is what I said. No, he wanted to go to the ACC.
Went to Syracuse so he didn't have to travel as far for the Heisman ceremony because he was going to be preparing for a playoff game. That's why he chose Syracuse.
Oh, he just wants to go and be a spectator. He still got to buy a ticket. Yeah, that's what's going on with McCord. Man, the thing is you go to the ACC, what defense has this man played? What defense is this man going to play? Like, he even said it himself. I'm looking forward to a shootout. That's what you got to get.
Are we going to see 3 Buckeye quarterbacks as Heisman finalists this year? Kyle McCord, Quinn Ewers, and Will Howard?
It's a possibility.
Who are you rooting for?
Bill Howard, the one that's a damn Buckeye. But shout out to Quinn, man. He deserves some gold fucking pants after putting that performance on and saying the team up north, man. So Quinn definitely deserves his gold pants, but I'm definitely rooting for Bill. Bill the thrill, man. Let's go.
They absolutely have to send Quinn gold pants if we beat Michigan this year. Quinn has to get a pair.
Big facts, man. I'm probably about to start, putting money over to the side just to go ahead and make sure that Quinn get those, because Buddy definitely deserved that, exposing that damn program for what the hell it is, a fake ass program.
We got one more thing that we got to talk about since no one else decided to do the show with us today, and the floor is ours. What the Steelers football? Justin Fields is our starting quarterback, man. The Steelers play today. I'm going to actually leave my house to watch the Steelers, and then if they piss me off, I'm done watching NFL football for the rest of the year. But there's a new hope right now. I don't know how much longer the hope is going to last for my team. But, man, Justin Fields is here. He's here to save the day. It's the guy that Mike Tomlin has always wanted. I'm not past saying that. I mean, Russell Wilson says that he's ready to play. He didn't practice on Friday. He gave some dodgy answers about whether he's going to play. It hasn't been officially announced the starter, but the way Justin Fields came to the stadium today, he seemed to have on a starter's outfit. So I'm going to go with Justin Fields is the starter right now. Mike, what are your expectations for the Steelers? Someone said, Ron, you're a Steelers fan too. I'm from Pittsburgh, born and raised. Like, I can see Heinz Field from the end of my street.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, you know, when I was growing up, there was no Browns. It wasn't even no damn stadium. I can't even remember. The only time I remember seeing a Brown stadium is when they came back. So, you know, I was always rocking with them Steelers. But what I want to see is I want to see the future of the Steelers be born with Justin Fields. I want to see the sparks. I want to see the offense look like they have some motion, man. That's what I want to see. I really want Justin Fields to be the future of this franchise, and I hope he goes out there and balls and shows everybody why he's not a bust, man. I just feel like this guy had been with a crappy organization for too long, and he's now getting it with a good organization. I think that we still need to put pieces, and that we're missing some pieces, but I have a little optimism. Like I said, it's been hard for me to like really been 10 toes down on my Steelers. So I kind of been just sitting back, let everybody else talk crap until we got a quarterback. Let Justin Fields show me some.
Municipal Stadium, what a dump. I couldn't agree more. I fucking hate Heinz Field. It is a shithole. It is one of the most miserable stadiums to attend, especially when PNC Park, one of the most beautiful stadiums in all of sports, is right next to it. If you're coming to Pittsburgh, go to a Pirates game, not a Steelers game. But it is fitting because Field on a Sunday is one of the worst places in Pittsburgh because you are going to see the most hardcore Yinzers, the most hardcore diehard Steeler fans that might throw a beer at your head. Those are the type of Steeler fans that are down by the stadium during the game. And it's a fitting stadium because anyone that knows Pittsburgh, it's not a glitz and glam type of city. No one's looking for posh type suites and things like that. You're talking about blue collar workers, people that still work in the mill this day, that work 9 to 5s, that pay good ass money to go down there and watch their Steelers punch someone in the mouth. They don't need a pretty stadium because most of them are so drunk they don't know where they're at anyway. So it would be a waste of decor. I love, while it is a dump and it is a shitty stadium, it fits the city. It matches the identity.
They saying that the old stadium for the Browns was Municipal Stadium. Because I guess what they saying that the old stadium for the Browns was Municipal.
I thought he was saying that Heinz Field was a dump. It is a dump. It is a dump.
Yeah,
someone said I grew up at Riverfront Stadium, cookie cutter concrete jungle stadium.
Yeah, here was the thing. It was so funny because I remember like I was in grade school. First time I went to Pittsburgh because I was going to the science school. So we go to the science museum that's in Pittsburgh, bruh. And it's right there by the projects. And then what you can see in there is Heinz Field in the distance. It's like Heinz Field is not that far from the projects, bro. I'm just letting y'all know.
So the North Shore sits right down on the water. There is PNC, Heinz Field, and then the Rivers Casino. So you have the casino, the 2 stadiums, and then a bunch of bars. And then right up the hill, if you pass Taco Bell, good luck.
Yeah, it was definitely. I'm like, how they got the science center in the hood, bro? I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, the science center and the sports works, which is right next to that. So it's like all right there in a strip. And then if you cross the road and go up the hill, best of luck. Stay safe. Yeah. But yeah, man, the NFL is back. The Buckeyes are 2-0. Justin Fields is a franchise quarterback again. Michigan lost and Oregon has been humbled. I don't know how, as a Buckeye Steelers fan, I could be having any better of a weekend. Oh, Buckeye fans that root for NFL teams in Ohio, good luck. I I wish you guys the best until you play us later in the season. So, man, it's always go Bucks and OH. Mike, let the people know where to find you before we get out of here.
All right, before I get out here, I do want to say there is one AFC team that is 0-1 right now. So just had to put that out there. You can find me on Twitter at 216_wildboy, and you can catch me later on this week on Wednesday on the Fans Edge at 7:30 Eastern time. And you can catch me after every Buckeye football game live right on the Voice of College Football with Mark Rogers.
And if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TEES. You can find me here weekdays, Monday through Friday. We queue at 8 a.m. for the Buckeye Roast. Saturdays on the Menace Sports platform for the Best Damn College pregame show. Saturdays post games in the Bleacher Report app with my guy Chris Drew as well. And then here on Sundays for Buckeye BS at 10 a.m. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Shout out to my guy Jarrett that said like the video. Make sure you smash that like button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us a ton. If you've watched on YouTube and you see the show later in the community on Twitter, make sure you throw a like there, a retweet. It all really helps us in that algo and helps us get going. So we appreciate that. But man, it is an NFL Sunday, and it is time to get going. I know Mike got to get to church. I got to get to the grocery store. Big day ahead of us. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. And as always, you know how this ends. Go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.
One last thing, Kyle for Heisman.